Have you ever wondered what was out there in the night sky? Stared up at the stars in the hopes of seeing something out of the ordinary? Have you heard unexplainable noises coming from a vacant room, or watched a shadow cross the wall in front of you? Have you asked yourself if there is life after this one, or if you had life before? What about strange creatures that are mythical and elusive? Have you experienced deja vu or felt a prompting to leave because you felt you were in danger? If you have, you were on the fringe.
Welcome to On the Fringe. I'm Mark.
I'm Pam.
And I'm Jess.
And
Enzo.
Our special guest, fashionista extraordinaire, Enzo
Yay.
Cyril.
Woohoo!
That's right. Pam got the note to wear purple.
Did.
Yes, Mark.
We're losers. Yeah,
Mm.
that's how it goes. Now, I want to start off
in the end.
by apologizing to those of you who usually watch this on the What If Tomorrow podcast group. Facebook, in its infinite wisdom and or whatever, has decided as of a few days ago to not allow any new third-party live streams, i.e. StreamYard, on their platform. I was still able to link to the What If Tomorrow media page. And I guess if we had a profile, we could still link to a profile, but not a group. So we're going to look into that and see what else we can do. May just start posting a direct link to Facebook on the podcast group in the future. My apologies to those of you who've had difficulty connecting with us tonight. We'll see what we can do. But I imagine this is probably another money-making opportunity for our overlords at Facebook. So we'll just see what's going on.
Oh, meta.
So before we get started, we've got to welcome back Pam from the Bermuda Triangle.
Wah, wah, wah.
So,
Oh, wait, I gotta think.
Fabulous.
But is it the real Pam?
Mm.
I don't know.
We already determined that when I accidentally whacked myself in the head backstage.
Yes, she did. She whacked herself in the head with a bottle of Bermuda Air, and it was classic Pam.
I actually brought 2 bottles of Bermuda Triangle Air back, and they made it through customs, which I was thrilled with.
Well, I mean, it's air.
Yeah, true.
But of course, Flight 19 might fly out of one of those if you open it up.
You never know.
Portable wormhole.
We could do that.
Portable wormhole.
Should
I
open it
like
or
the way you think.
Yeah.
There you go.
We're going to
It's an Acme
expand
product.
science.
It was great. It was fabulous. Anybody that has an opportunity to go, do it. Definitely worth it.
So how long was it? It was a cruise that left from where to where? Let's run through the whole thing.
We left from Miami on April 14th is when we left. And we made it back on the 20th. So it was a 6-day cruise. And we went to Half Moon Cay, which is in Bermuda. And then we went, the Bahamas. And then we went to, what was the second place? Amber Cove. And then we went over to Grand Turk, which, that's probably the closest, I think, to the Bermuda Triangle. And then we kind of got really close to it on the way back. I think we were within 100 miles of it on the way back to Miami. So I stood out there and got bottles. There's the picture of me Filling up the bottle of air from the Bermuda Triangle.
That line in the water, it's like you're Spider-Man shooting a web out.
Isn't
or
that
something.
crazy? I noticed that. That does look kind of weird.
I noticed she's wearing the same shirt, like a
Yeah.
bum.
We were cracking
Yep.
up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just rushed it back home really quick to do the show.
Nope. Look what
Oh, the Enzo section.
she was.
This is
Yeah.
the
she was in
Enzo
the
section of the
section, yeah.
store.
I
You
approve,
don't
I
mind
approve the
finding
shirt
that
on the
green one,
left.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I've never been. I try not to get birds. on there.
Matching
This is
shorts,
probably.
dude, that's all I gotta say.
This one has a sailboat on it, and that's about as. Usually, I try and just keep it to foliage.
All I gotta
But
say
then
is
so
matching
those have
shorts.
matching flamingo. It looks like swim
Shorts.
trunks with it.
That, we got to do it, Enzo.
Oh, no,
gotta
the
do it. We got to
stripies
get
over
you a
there.
matching shirt and shorts.
The stripes over there are pretty cute too. I don't know.
So, and
No, I
then
saw those and I
you
had.
wound up on Grand Turk.
Yes, there's a John Glenn exhibit there from I think it was 1962 when they splashed down in the area.
That absolutely does not look like John Glenn.
No, not a bit.
No, but that does look like the Liberty Bell 7,
Yeah, it's the correct shape anyway.
which
Or
is
the
actually
title
is it
sequence
still-
to I Dream of Jeannie, maybe. But
There you
still
go.
on display at the museum in Hutchinson.
Yes, I think it is. Yeah,
Yep.
actually.
so
They recovered it, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
The last time I was there, it was there, and that was, gosh, I don't know, about 2012, 10, 12.
well, that was one of my first forays into webcam watching, because they had a live webcam on it as they did the restoration,
Mm-hmm.
the
Cool.
conservation. So that was pretty cool.
is that the one where it was full of dimes? They had all the little silver dimes that were in it, or was that the other one? Because I did a couple of them up there.
Several of them took them. I think those were actually inside their suit. So
Okay.
mercury dimes,
Yeah.
because they were.
My
Ah,
daughter
that's what it
got
was.
to.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
My daughter got to help with the conservation of the last capsule that they took in. She did space camp at Hutchinson for 4 years, and so she got to help and do all that stuff. So it's kind of cool.
Well,
really
free
cool.
labor. I mean, who's going to turn that down?
I don't think they had the kids actually like working on it, but they kind of got to like be a part of it a little bit somehow. So
Well, that's where I was not in charge, because I would have had the kids doing all the work. That's just how I roll, people.
Out there with
That's
their
how I
little
roll.
shovels.
yeah,
But yeah,
when they weren't
absolutely.
spinning them on the anti-gravity machines and stuff like that. So
If you get a chance, go.
On high speed.
Serious. Travel anywhere, actually. If you get a chance, just travel.
should always travel.
Absolutely. Meet new places or meet new people, see new places.
Meet new places.
I know.
that
Meet new
places. Travel to new people.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm telling you,
Well,
it's
I have to
right
admit,
now.
after I retired from Air Force, I was traveled out. I didn't want to travel anymore. It's like I've done enough
Oh,
for
I
a
bet.
lifetime and all that. But now I find myself like I wouldn't mind just driving around and just I'm going to go that way for a few weeks, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And see what I run into. Yeah.
So
That
there
sounds
is
like
this. It's funny you say that. There is this website I stumbled across the other day, and let me see if I can find it. It's in my somewhere in my stuff. Keep talking, and I'll find it, and I'll tell you about it then.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys might have seen in the title of the show, which I misspelled badly, and it would not let me edit. We're going to play the notebook game, and whatever random research we find in Jess's notebooks, we're going to talk about tonight. So we have the potential to talk about several subjects,
Anything and everything.
Like
It'll be fun.
I said,
found it.
unfortunately, a lot of people are having trouble finding us tonight with the whole Facebook snafu.
Well, can you share the link right now as it is live to the page?
Well, I might be able to. Let me.
Yeah, just through your
on the
regular
Facebook
YouTube page.
Sure.
Yeah, just share it right now to the page.
Right. Let me
You do that.
get on YouTube.
You know, we have the blue button up in the corner. Stream this to your audience. I wonder
Yeah,
if
you can stream it to yours if you're connected. I'm going
Yeah.
to change users.
his Facebook page, Facebook profile is still on there.
Cool.
Switch
You
account.
don't stream to Twitter, do you?
No,
No, I
No?
sure don't.
we've got kind of an inactive Twitter account.
So I guess that was the chatter last week from Elon hinting that kind of going to turn. They're about ready to do XTV. He's still sticking with that X thing. I know everybody tells him every time. It's like nobody calls it that, but
Especially when you go to twitter.com.
But apparently he's ready to start making that move to basically make Twitter like YouTube, where you can post your content and it'll have a different front end, so more like how YouTube is rather than the Twitter part of it. So you can better search for your videos and scroll through different, things like that instead of, the endless timeline of Twitter trying to find a video or something like that. It's kind of hard to do with that interface, but I guess they're going to have a slightly different interface for that part of it.
That's crazy.
Cool.
Okay, so I found that website that I was looking for. It's called mob rule, RULE.com. And it's this guy, I can't think of his name, but his initials are MOB. That's why he calls it mob. He does county counting. So what he has done is taken maps of the United States and broken it down by counties. And then he allows people to come in and make their own homepage. And then you can take your own map and map the counties that you have personally been in and just kind of create this little map of where you've been. And I'm a geek head completely, and I thought it was cool as hell. So I had to sign up, and I haven't started it yet, but I've got my own homepage and I'm super excited to get it going.
Yay. Yay. Well, I have linked us through.
I just got it.
I do not think we'll be able to view comments here on StreamYard, but we might be able to. I don't know.
I don't know. I'll keep it on my end, and then
Yeah, that'll work.
So did you send it just to your page, Mark?
Yes.
To your profile?
You should be able to click your share the stream to whatever you're already linked to. If you click that blue
See if
button
it
in the
works.
corner. It's
Yeah, it's working.
the Facebook has gotten us.
What those guys are really thinking of over there in Facebook, they're really messing up with TikTok on the way out. It's like, we're the biggest show in town now. It's like,
Nah. Well, I mean, I've been thinking about I can subscribe to a service that'll break our videos up into reels, and then interested to see more, and go to our link. That may be the wave of the future. I don't know. So
I know they really love those reels on YouTube. I know a lot of people that just hate them, but there's some of them that are kind of amusing, but it's nothing like. I mean, I guess that's what would your TikTok folks would go to now. I don't know.
yeah. Well, I mean, I get
Not my
why
thing.
TikTok's on the way out.
I don't. What's the difference in TikTok and who owns it and every other social media
Well,
site
a
out
lot
there?
of companies are making you take it off of your phone to be in their facility because it is owned by the communist China government.
Who isn't?
I mean, it seems
No.
like our government is. I mean,
Basically, it's the amount of data that's being shared. Because everybody agree to this thing, which it's 5 miles long and all that.
Nobody
everyone
reads
just
it.
That nobody reads.
Yeah, just agree. Just go right on it. Is they have everything, which there's certainly things in there that they are on that list, but there are also other things where it's way more intrusive about the things that they're looking at, like on your phone, your whole address book, It's not that hard for them to, when you just click on that agree thing.
Yeah, hack your
'cause
email, whatever.
Yeah, and they'll have access to everything that's on your phone for the most part.
Who was it that got in trouble? And it's been years. Some company had buried in their terms of agreement that they had the rights to your soul too. Who was that? Do you remember that? And they got in
I
trouble
remember
for
it.
it.
I don't remember who it was, but I remember hearing about it.
Yes, and, people would just click it and go on.
It was
because
probably
nobody reads that
MySpace.
stuff.
That could have
It
been.
might have been MySpace, maybe.
Well, I mean, they were evil. Chris wants to know when we're playing Notebooks. Now, that is what the show is about, and we now have 3 viewers. So
Yay!
Hey!
I'm ready. So before we start, I'm going to put this out there. So I got a private message from a viewer a couple of weeks ago, claiming that I don't have a whole bunch of notebooks to read from, that I only have a couple, and I'm sitting there just showing the same ones over and over again and just coming up with crap.
They have no idea.
Well, the thing was, they said all your notebooks look like this with the diamond pattern on it.
Because they're cheap.
And they were like, you're just showing the same one over and over again.
Did you buy it?
So in order to refute this claim, right, I went back and grabbed some older ones so we could have some other topics to talk about. And I'm going to let you know, when I bought this set of notebooks, I bought the whole damn box. So I'm going to show you a few of them.
It's all done with mirrors. I don't
Right?
believe you.
Woo, look, they're all on the screen at the same time.
Wow. Information overload. Actually, I found the story about the souls thing within the terms and services. If you want to
did
hear
you find
that.
it?
It's a story from the British computer game retailer Game Station revealed in 2010 that it legally owned the souls of thousands of online shoppers thanks to a clause in its terms and conditions, which read, quote, by placing an order via this website on the first day of the 4th month of the year 2010 AD, you agree to grant us a non-transferable option to claim for now and forevermore your immortal soul. Should we wish to exercise this option, you agree to surrender your immortal soul and any claim you may have on it within 5 working days of receiving written notification from gamestation.co.uk or one of its duly authorized minions.
Duly authorized minions. I love that.
That was either a brilliant piece of marketing or a big mistake. It could have gone either way.
Ooh.
Could have gone either way. We'll sell it back to you. For only
All
1
right.
million.
Are we ready to start this?
We are. It's streaming off of my Facebook profile too.
Awesome.
So we've got it coming in a couple of different ways.
All right. So tonight, if you all know what the notebook game is, if you watch Pam and I over on Bordertown Strange, we're going to do it just a little bit differently tonight. So we were trying to come up with a topic for the evening. And I was like, why do we have to go with one topic? Let's go with several. So we're going to play the notebook game tonight. And for any of y'all who don't know me, I keep studious notes, but in notebooks because I'm old school and lame. Full of hundreds of different types of topics, just all kind of shoved in together. And what we do is I've pulled 5 notebooks and we let the people in the chats pick a book, so 1 through 5, and then you pick a page number 65 or below, and we will go to that topic and we will discuss whatever is on that page, no matter what it is. It could be great, it could be really bad. Either way, we're gonna have fun. So everybody get on there and choose book 1 through 5 and then a page number 65 or under. And I've been starting to make this a little bit easier on myself. So for the last 2 weeks, I've been covering for Pam on her Amok podcast. And I was kind of just a filler. I didn't really need to be asking a lot of questions or talking. So while I was just being a space filler, I was numbering my page numbers in my notebooks.
Ooh, nice.
Very efficient.
I've only done like 4 of them, but 4 of those I have in front of me, so it should make it a little bit quicker tonight.
All right.
Awesome.
All right.
Ooh.
So we got
Book
any
1,
takers yet?
Page 1.
What is
Chris
it?
says book 1, page 1.
Book 1, page 1.
Start at the beginning.
Start at the beginning. All right. Hold on. Let me get the.
Just while you're
pages
doing
out of
that,
the
I
way.
did put a comment on my stream of this,
Mhm.
and it's not showing up in comments, so we might have to keep an eye on the
Okay.
separate streams that are coming out.
So, book 1, page 1 is the Discovery Settlement and Present State of Kentucky.
Oh, nice.
That
Yeah.
is awesome.
So this particular page is on the super white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed giants who lived in the cave system when the Cherokees showed up into the Kentucky area.
Yeah.
Discuss.
That was an
I like
awesome
that.
episode. That was
Is that the
really
Mammoth Cave area in the central part of the state, or
No, well, I mean, it's all Mammoth Cave. All of it is. It's
all
all
connected.
one system.
yeah, pretty much that whole everything east of the Mississippi is part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
right.
not Mammoth Cave as people think. Like when you travel to go see the Mammoth Cave, the entrance is not in this area that we're talking about. This is the old area. There's a lot of the original mounds and the pyramids that were built there by people who supposedly the Indians said were there far earlier than even they were.
Mhm.
And if I'm trying to recall all this correctly, I'm not going to look in my notes. I'm not going to cheat. So, when the Indians showed up there, it was the Cherokee first. They came in. There was these supposed giants that lived there who were fair-skinned, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, who lived in the cave systems. And they actually ran the Indians out. There was a huge area that the Indians would not go into. They wouldn't go in to hunt it. They wouldn't go in to work the ground there. They wouldn't even bury their dead within it. They just didn't go into this area. Very scared of it. And then when the white settlers started coming in, the white settlers were like, "Why aren't y'all in this area?" And they were, yeah.
have at
And they
it.
were
Go
like,
right ahead. It's all yours.
Yeah. Interesting though, I do remember we did a large section on the mining that was happening within those cave systems, and it does show that the mining was happening there far before the Indians were there.
Yes,
So
for sure.
there was mining happening back when these supposed giants were there. And I say supposed, it's not supposed. They found cemeteries and cemeteries full burials of these giants.
That went to the Smithsonian and never seen again.
I think it's called America
Never seen it
BC.
yet.
Barry Fell wrote it, America BC, and it talks. It has a lot of information in regards to that.
You'll see, and
It's a really good one.
yeah, I mean they have. We know that there were people here before the Native Americans would have been here long enough to be considered native, and you know, again with the Younger Dryas situation when everything flooded, all that got wiped out. So
Which does it give like a which part of Kentucky were these caves where these people are? Was it like eastern part, like where it gets more like towards the Appalachians, or like the western part where it's?
If I remember
the
correctly,
Ohio
it's
River?
the eastern part.
Because I kind of grew up in the eastern part of Kentucky, and I don't remember that here in that particular. We did have a lot of mounds there. I know there was an area, specifically the western part of West Virginia, that is right next to there, that Native Americans would not go in there at all.
that's the
Really?
best Virginia, by the way.
And where I mean, they, if it was like the middle of the day, they might encroach a little bit if they saw some deer or something like that for some hunting real fast, but would never be there after dark, and certainly no long-term trips going deep inside of that area because of well, mostly it was bad evil spirits and bad stuff all the way around, that they just gave it a really wide berth in that particular area, which, I mean, it's not like there was borders back then, so it could have encroached into Kentucky as well, I suppose.
So it says here, it's from the northeastern boundary of Cherokee County, from the New River of West Virginia to the land within the extreme western corner of Kentucky. It's that swath there. It's basically Pike County.
Yeah,
the bulk of it was in Pike County. So, which also is where Hellier is, for the people who love
that is
Hellier.
True. Yep, that's it.
Just for everybody's eludification, see me using the big words, I have actually posted a link to the archive with a full document scan of this
check that out,
of Ancient Annals of Kentucky. So
is that on your Facebook?
Yes, it should be on the Facebook group.
Okay, check that out later.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild stuff around there, because I grew up in Ashland, Kentucky, which is right where Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia meet. That second season of Hellier, where they actually go to Ashland, and they were looking for that one restaurant because they were looking for Ingrid
Wagon
Cole's place. I remember my parents talking about going to the Wagon Wheel for dinner, as a family kind of a thing. One time we ended up not going, but I knew exactly where all of that stuff was. It was pretty creepy. It's like that's where I grew up. That is super strange, this show. Like, there's not enough strange, but now it's personal.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. You were like, I know that lady. I've seen her.
That's funny.
Dude, who is that old guy? Oh, wait, I went to school with him. I hate being the same age as old people.
It's freaky, isn't it?
It is freaky.
A little disconcerting.
When you run into somebody and you're like,
who's this old geezer? Oh, wait. Yeah. He was a couple years behind me in high school.
Yeah, they're 2 years younger than me.
Sad when you come to realization that you've become 2015 Biff from Back to the Future. Just, man.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
we're closer to Back to the Future is actually closer to the 50s than it is to us.
That's crazy.
Now.
That is crazy.
Keep making us feel old there, Mark.
You're welcome.
All right, so before we move on, we'll pick another topic. For all of you listening or watching, Mark has posted a link to one of the former shows that we did on this particular topic. And if you'll go back through the old shows, like 2 leading up into that and a couple after is an entire series we did on ancient America and the giants and the elephants that were in the Americas, out of place artifacts, Smithsonian, bull honky, and all of that. It was one of my favorite series to do. So if you get a chance, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. And if you have seen it, go back and rewatch it, because I still get excited when I go back and watch some of those old ones, because I'm like, that was so cool.
Really good shows.
They were. And I mean, we didn't cover half of it. There's so much left to do on that. That'll be fun to hit on someday.
Yeah.
I need something like that for a reference for like those road trips I was talking about, because I noticed I was plotting out a path, because in July I'm supposed to be going out to Virginia City, Nevada. And I was looking at one of the paths, takes me like way up into Montana and cuts through Utah and Salt Lake City, blah, blah, blah.
Cool.
And it goes right. It's only like an hour away from Virginia City itself, but Lovelock Cave, which is one of those famous places where, these giants with red hair were, attacking and eating, Native Americans. They finally fought them back, where they chased them all into this cave. and they just threw everything that could catch on fire in there and just stuffed the entrance to it and lit it on fire to try and, burn them all out or smoke them all out. And they didn't have any problems after that.
That would be
From
really
the
cool.
Giants.
We did a
Yep.
whole section on that in one of those series.
We did.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I posted the first one in that series, so if you go and look at that, you can listen to them.
Cool.
It's on our catalog on Spreaker. The link is on the Facebook group right now.
Very
So,
cool.
And
you can always go back through YouTube too and watch them too.
That gets me excited about that again. We have so much reference material left, or I do anyway. I know you do.
Yeah,
too.
I've got tons because I think Phil got a little worn out on the topic because we just kept rolling on it. I think he was like, "Let's do something new," and Pam and I were like, "Oh."
We were both like,
Okay.
"Ew."
we could take that document, the Ancient Annals of Kentucky, and break it down and do about 50 shows. We could do a year's worth of shows easy on
Easily.
Probably.
that. We could start a separate podcast just to go over the Ancient Annals of Kentucky.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I've never read it. I'm
Future
gonna have to check
project
it out.
after we win the lottery.
Yeah, for sure. When we don't have to actually work.
Who
all
said
like,
research?
"Boo."
Who said research isn't work? That's
No,
why it gets so
A lot of
little
work.
of it
but
done.
it's fun work.
It is.
It is. It's like a treasure hunt.
It is for sure.
Or
Okay, now
geocaching.
that we've properly nerded out, who do we have next?
All right. Does anybody else have a notebook and page? We
And if
have
you
5
want, we can
people
have like
viewing this.
Enzo pick one. Any one of us can pick one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
that's
do
true.
that.
That's true. How about
Enzo.
347?
Okay,
Notebook 3, page 47.
I'm going.
All right.
You go next, Enzo.
Yeah, I'll go.
All right.
I think everybody said something at the same time. It's like, wow, what happened? It got kind of broken up there.
Oops. We can do Enzo's first. It's okay.
I got it. Hold on. This is a page on time paradoxes, the butterfly effect, multiverse theory, erased timeline hypothesis, Philadelphia experiment, and Montauk project. Which one do you want to pick? Because they're all their
hell,
all of it.
we got deep into that one.
We
That's all
properly
on one
nerded out
page.
on the Montauk.
Yeah, so I was literally just kind of making a basic list of like time paradoxes and kind of the ins and outs of them. So like they're just like notes to myself. Like you can see I like
Oh,
kind
you
of
got
showed
the Doc
how
Brown timeline drawing there too.
yeah,
Yeah.
so later on I get into depth on each one of those. This is just kind of a list I was building that I needed to
Was
get
this
through.
when we were talking about the fellow who ran for president? Or was that previous
he's in
to
there.
that?
Like the next page is Mike Markham,
Ah,
the dude who built the supposed time machine and like missing.
Yeah.
Bad man,
Yeah.
Mark,
Like
Art Fells.
he did
Classic.
he did jail time because he stole all those transformers. And,
Yes, he did. I was really because the Y Files, of course, did a episode here a couple of months on him, and I didn't know the second half post Art Bell stories about him. That that where that story went. I was like, what? I was shocked at that. That was so great though to kind of hear the old story because I remember listening to it live. It's like, man, this guy's just going to electrocute himself. We're never going to hear from this guy again because he's going to be dead.
he may have vaporized himself. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't there something popped up later on about a body that had been found on a beach, and it had what they thought was like a cell phone in it, but it was back from like way far back before cell
Yeah, it
phones.
was like
it was
30s or 40s or something like that.
yeah.
Yes.
They found a body of a man they couldn't identify in a metal cone tube thing.
Yes.
And all they found on him, there was no wallet or anything. All he had on him was, they said, a square, strange object that had a glass front.
Yes.
They didn't know what it was.
Yep.
And how it came about was, I guess, like Art Bell had been, asking his audience if anyone could contact, because no one had heard from him in so long. And some audience member popped up one night and said, "Hey, I'm sending you this. I found this just by chance not too long ago, and you have to wonder." And so he sent them. It's an actual newspaper clipping. And they sent it to him, and he read it on, on Coast to Coast. And he was like, "Could this be Mike Markham? I don't know." Because he said what he was going to take with him when he finally went through himself. And it was more than just the cell phone on him or the strange square device with the glass screen. But what was listed in the newspaper article was pretty close to what he was supposed to have on him. So who knows? Maybe he did it. It didn't end up well, apparently.
No, it didn't.
Obviously did not end up well.
He made it, just not alive.
Yeah.
I would assume with the energies possibly involved, that there's a high chance that the result of intentional time travel would be close to instant death.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Perhaps.
take much to go wrong.
To just jump through naked like that, you don't know what for, and this goes for any strange field you may find out in the woods or anywhere else. Just jumping through, you don't know where it's going. You don't know when it's going. You could end up on another planet. You could be out in space. You could be
In the gullet of a
under the
megalodon.
water. You could be you can see like Nike tracks being chased by the T-Rex tracks somewhere. Some archaeology student uncovers something like that. But
Which will immediately be chopped up by a
yes,
air hammer.
yeah.
No.
They'll be out there with a jackhammer immediately. Like, no.
There was that story about a gentleman that had just appeared in front of a whole bunch of people in the middle of a street and was immediately struck by a car and killed. And that would be me. That would be my luck.
Mhm.
I'd land in a volcano or something crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
40,000 feet in the air with no airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing to say that you're going to be on Earth when you do it, and the Earth is mostly covered in water. So, if you did, just playing the odds, you're going to end up somewhere you don't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess you could make yourself transfer in a boat. Just a boat on land is perfectly fine. A boat, but a person in the water might not be.
Well, I think you would have to go the Back to the Future route where you would just have like an Avro car that's a boat and a car, or one of those duck boat things like they used to have in World
A
War II.
hybrid.
There
Yep.
you go.
Yeah, or just
Ride the duck.
something like that. That you could just drive that through whatever the portal device thing is every time.
With a big
Again,
parachute.
40,000
just in
feet, no wings.
case.
Yeah, they could have a parachute on.
Well, there you go. To land in the water.
Sure. Then you just start driving on,
Yeah, there you go.
getting chased by a plesiosaur. Yeah, it's who knows what's
Like
going
I would be in the duck at the bottom of the ocean,
Yeah, be under the water if you appear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, crap.
Defeat
I
every-
didn't know it was going to be. I didn't know it was an Atlantis portal. Damn it.
Or you'd be down far enough, it would just immediately implode on you.
Yeah, just crush.
Like a tin can. You don't even know what
Just-
happened.
It's like, is that the Titanic?
Is this the
Although,
bottom of the
if
Black
it was-
Sea?
Some people
Yeah.
have more.
Of course,
money than
if it was
sense.
like a Twilight Zone, you would actually appear in front of the Titanic and cause the wreck. It wasn't an iceberg; it was you.
Very,
You know,
yeah.
kind of thing. I always love
Sorry.
those twists in those old shows, like with time travelers and stuff like that. Somebody not that long ago on a show said the same thing about it. It's like, man, if I get time travel, I'd use the time machine to go back and see what Roswell is. It's like, you understand that if you did that, you are
You'd
going to
be
be the Roswell alien thing. You
Yeah.
are going to be.
You're gonna be
That's,
what they
that's what
shoot
would
down.
happen. Yeah.
For sure. Oh
Yeah,
my
that's
goodness.
called irony. And that's why you don't ask for things from genies.
No.
Never, never.
All right. Is anybody else on here have a
It's Enzo's turn.
booking a page.
Did
Yes,
we-
it is in
Any
Zoom.
audience members or any chatters out there? I don't know. Well, anyways, in the meantime, I guess we'll go book. You said you have 5 books?
I have 5.
We'll go with book 5,
Okay.
page 41.
Okay.
Why I put- It's like a million numbers rolling through my head.
I know.
Just pick one, stupid. But because
You
they're
get-
all
get so
going to be great.
excited, though. Yeah, they're all going to be interesting.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hold on. The
I realize
pages are
if
all
the
stuck
show
together.
takes off and it gets real
We'll
big,
find our
then-
grocery list on one of these someplace.
That's right.
4 green peppers.
Okay. Oh, okay. So this is like a recent one. This is one that Pam and I did not too long ago. This one is on the Crying Boy
Ooh.
painting
Oh,
fires.
that was a good one. That was fun.
Yeah.
I
So
don't know about fun, but it was interesting.
Fire is
it
cool.
wasn't fun
Fire,
for
fire
the
is cool.
people whose houses were burning down.
Fire.
So the Crying Boy painting, and everybody will know what they are if you just think about it. Think like 60s and 70s, the horrible paintings you saw on your doctor's office's walls, on your grandma's walls. You
Did
saw them
have
in
a picture you could pull up,
churches.
Pam?
I had a doctor who had one of those.
Hey, let me look. I bet I can.
So
find
they were
one.
like the really like overly pastel little sad children with like the little single tear running down their eye, looking all sad with their little cute little blonde hairdos. A good portion of them were made by this Giovanni Bragolin, I think it's, yeah, or Bruno Amadio, because that's his real name. That was his like artist name that he used. And so what he was known for, he made over 60 of these portraits of these crying kids. And in the UK, during the 80s, they became notorious for having been in homes that had caught fire and they themselves didn't burn. So it soon became known as the curse of the crying portraits, because they assumed that any house that one of these was in was soon to burn down, and the pictures themselves apparently did not. And it happened a lot more. Pam and I went over all of the holy cow.
Yeah, it
There
was
were,
crazy. There was all kinds of weird stuff.
yeah, let me see here. So, oh, where's that one? It was so
I forget,
fantastic.
was there like a tragic story with that painter of why this would possibly be happening?
Yeah. Let me flip through my notes. It's been a little while since we went over it.
I'm about to get us a picture up here too.
So I'm just going to read this from my notes. So according to the painter, the main model he used on the majority of them was a little street urchin. That's what he called him. That he found on the streets of Madrid in the 1960s. His name was Don. He was a mute orphan with a sad disposition. He was painting the boy when a priest stopped to warn him that the boy had run away after seeing his parents die in a fire. Since then, fires would break out wherever the boy went. The people had named him Diablo. So Amadio, the artist, ignored the warning and actually took the kid with him and adopted him. Later on, Amadio's studio and apartment actually mysteriously caught fire too, and he lost everything. And he accused Don and kicked him out. He was like 18 or something by this time, so it's not too awful bad that he kicked him out. But Don himself actually died in 1976 in a car fire.
which is weird.
Oh, that is bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is
Yeah,
bizarre.
so they blame this kid for all of these fires, but there were hundreds of fires, literally. And they did say, like, where is that? One of the firemen dealing with which blaze was this they're talking about? It's a fire that happened in December 1985. 67-year-old William Armitage was burnt to death in an unexplained house fire in Avon, England. His charred body was discovered lying on the floor beside a perfectly intact Crying Boy painting. The man was charred beyond recognition, but the painting was pristine. One of the firemen dealing with the blaze was afterwards quoted as saying, I've never believed in jinxes up until now, but when you actually come across a picture in a gutted room and it's literally the only thing that hasn't been touched, it's most odd.
It is freaky. One of the fire chiefs, didn't they try to, as a prank, give him a copy of the painting and he refused it?
So the main fire chief, who was like in charge, chief there is different than a chief here. Chief to us is just, in charge of their little brigade or whatever. But fire chief there is literally like the fire marshal for all. And he was the one during those really bad years in the 80s who kept refuting everything and saying it's nothing, it's just coincidental, this is all ridiculous. And they threw him a huge retirement party when he went to go retire. And they gave him a gift, and they gave him a Crying Boy. And he refused to take it home with him.
Nope, it's yours.
Yeah.
Oh, that just shows that he had good sense. He may not believe in it, but
why
because I don't necessarily, why tempt fate?
Exactly, yeah, for sure. The Haunted Objects podcast, they did a Crying Boy episode too. That's really good. And something funny that they did. It's Greg and Dana Newkirk, and they actually went on tour over, I don't know, a few months. And they took with him one of the people in the museum had painted a Crying Greg and gifted it to them. And so they took this Crying Greg painting with them to every presentation that they did. And they asked everyone before they left to just focus on it and pour all the negative crap they needed to get out of their system into this to see if they could haunt the painting. And they brought it back to their home where they have the start of a museum. They're working on a brick and mortar right now. So they have a lot of things in their archives, and they put this in one of their rooms. And shortly thereafter, they started seeing this little fleshy looking creature running around their house. And they don't know if they called it the Gregregor because they thought maybe, all this crap would have been put into this, right? That it had actually manifest into something.
Yikes.
Yeah. Which is weird. So they're doing some experiments with it.
Let's create our own tulpa and have it haunt our house.
Yeah.
That sounds like
I think it got a little bit more real than what they thought it was going to get really fast. So now they're just kind of.
They're going to be starting up a new season of their show and podcast, I guess, pretty soon, right?
They should be, yeah. They don't have a firm date on it yet, but they keep telling everybody, yeah, it's coming. We've just got a million other things in the way right now. But yeah, they definitely are coming.
Yep.
Cool.
Pretty fun.
Very cool.
All right.
Check them out.
What do we want to do now?
Anybody else on there?
I don't see any on my end.
Let me see your link here. I don't see anything on there. We've got several links on here for people to find.
Yay. How about book 4, page 44?
444.
Gee, I don't know why I picked that number.
I do not know.
That's the number that seems to follow me around.
Bum, 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 bum.
Dun, dun.
Just any repeating numbers or specifically 444?
Specifically 444.
Really?
It is. Yeah, we had gone to Miami for Jess was doing a presentation with Dark Ozarks. And, I had been saying it was happening for a while, and we had gone to eat at, I think, Brahms or somewhere. And, they hand you the slip with your number to call when your food's ready. And they handed me 444. And I was like, look, see? It follows me.
All right. Yep. So this page is one of the listing pages that I'd made. I was making lists for myself of things that needed to be looked up, and this is oddities in Oklahoma that I couldn't categorize.
Oh,
So
interesting.
they're not like UFO or straight on ghost or Bigfoot or cryptid. They're literally just weird things that are not categorizable. So we've got the Anubis caves.
Yes.
We've got disappearing, extremely large bird in front of a moving card on the turnpike between Tulsa and Oklahoma City.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Appearing and disappearing while they're watching it.
Yeah. So in Broken Arrow on 121st Street in Elm, two friends spotted a super skinny 10-foot tall shadow figure with a glowing red face at 11 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, so
Happened in 2002.
Slenderman on his way home from a bender.
It's not a
it's doing the
Slenderman.
walk of
It's
shame.
not.
It's Benderman.
It's Benderman.
Benderman, I like it.
Walk of shame.
Vanita, the canine creatures that were ripping up the cars at the dealership. That's
No,
in
Forgot about that
there.
one.
The lost Spanish city of Cascarillo, and the gold mines near Canute. The ancient pyramid ruins outside of Worcester. The 7-foot tall skeletons found in the clay coffins buried in an Indian mound outside the Washita River near Paul's Valley. We've got, I wrote this one quickly. Texas County, 94 north of Optima National Wildlife Refuge. In the 60s, half a dozen, oh my gosh, I don't know what this says. Oh, a half a dozen trucks were run off the road by a stampeding ghost herd of buffalo.
Oh, wow.
What?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
we just need a ghost buffalo hunter to take care of that scourge on the Texas roadways.
That's wild. I don't
Don't
Oh,
remember.
worry
this one
about
was weird.
The ghost
remember
pack
this
of
one.
dire wolves chasing them.
And now we've heard of this before. So our friend Lisa Martin has a similar story. She was down recording the spook light
Yeah.
in Joplin, because that's her stomping ground. That's her thing. And she was down there one night and they were getting ready to record. And she said they heard this god awful, like howling, like 1,000 paws hitting the ground at the same time off in the distance. And they all just kind of stopped and they were listening because it was dark outside and you can't see too far in front of you. And she said it was getting closer and closer and closer. And they were like, there's nowhere for us to go. What's coming at us? And she said they heard like this pack of like wolves or dogs or whatever howling and snarling and barking and running, literally went right through them, but they never saw anything. But it came with a breeze.
Weird.
I don't remember who else was with her. I think it was her and Alex
Yeah.
for sure, though.
Yeah. There was a small group of them, but yeah.
That's weird.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
To feel
that's
it
the
go
one of the
around
ones.
you.
Yeah, that's one of the ones she talks about because it's one of the ones that truly did scare her. Like she's a tough woman, but
She
that
is.
one scared the bejesus out of her.
It
So
would be, for sure.
the last one I have on here was, and this one's an interesting one. This one it may be like a time slip or something. I don't know what to categorize this. So, this happened between Bartlesville and Nowata on that road there.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
In 2011. So 2 diamond-shaped vehicles were on the road, and they didn't have wheels. They had 3 legs. They looked identical, they said, and they were traveling along the road.
Walking on those legs on the road.
Yeah, they went right by them. An older couple, a gentleman and a wife, who supposedly are very well highly thought of. They live in Bartlesville. They were coming back from Nowata. Yeah.
I wonder what that would have been, even. That's
I
odd.
don't know. They said
I don't know.
they were silver. They said they looked like something you would see out of like of a 50s sci-fi magazine.
Oh,
But they
wow.
didn't have wheels. They literally had little legs. They thought they were losing their melons. So
Yeah, I can
And
see
I-
why. That's understandable.
I'm trying to think of like some entity that has seen like those 50s pulp magazines and think, okay, that's what their
Yeah.
vehicles look like on Earth. So we'll
Yeah.
put something we'll put our probe, whatever that we put down, it'll look just like their things. And
Yeah.
those legs on the ground for the lander thing, that must be how it gets around. There's no wheels or anything on it. Looking at like a spaceship that's on a foreign planet.
Yeah.
And there these things are trucking along. It's basically like a scarecrow where, we put it out there. It's like, yeah, it's generally human shaped, but we're not fooled by it. So it's just that's what comes to mind, at least thinking of it, because it just sounds so ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
Like the
bizarre.
aliens picked up some sci-fi magazine in the 50s from Earth, and then when they came back later, they were like, we need to look like something. Grab that magazine.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
I don't know
must be
why
the
it makes me
vehicles the
think it-
Earthlings use. Yeah.
What are the walkers called? I can never remember their name. They're California. They're just
The
big legs.
Fresno night
The
crawlers.
Fresno
Fresno night-
crawlers. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know why that
My
makes me think of that.
It's
Little
just the
walking
legs. Yeah.
Just the legs, yeah. Crazy.
All right. Who's next?
We got another one. Let me see if there's
Back
anybody
to
on.
Mark.
I mean,
Jess, you choose one.
Oh.
You haven't chosen one yet.
Okay.
Just close your eyes and randomly pick a book and then flip open. Just
Let it fall open.
Well, I don't want to get it out of order because then we might choose something we've already done. We haven't done 2 yet. 35.
There you go.
235.
Ooh, and this is one of the ones I've numbered.
I'm so excited.
Yay!
I don't know why I'm always excited for these.
I am. That's the best part of the show.
It is. Isn't it?
So this is our section on NPCs.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Nice.
So this one is multiverse theory. This is my fairy ring theory.
Nice.
Has Enzo heard my fairy ring theory?
I don't think so.
know that I have.
All right. So in multiverse theory, the theory states that we have all of these parallel lines to us, and we are actually present in all of them in some form, right? So when I had to, I think I did this on UFO Garage first. I think is the first time I was talking about multiverse theory, and I was trying to explain to them what that would mean because they couldn't grasp that you could be in all of these lines at the same time. So what I did was I laid it out like a fairy ring. So a fairy ring is a mushroom ring. You see the mushrooms that grow in the big circles. Those are not all separate mushrooms. They're one mushroom. And all the little outliers you see are the little fingers that take in all the nutrients and all of that. And I was like, so multiverse theory is like a fairy ring. So while you're only seeing these individual mushrooms, they're all the same thing. So it could be with a person. So you could exist within all of those lines. So if you died in one line or the mushroom got kicked, that mushroom would recede back into the ground and die off, and all of its nutrients and stuff would go to the other outliers. And the mushroom itself doesn't die, just that one line is gone. But all those other lines are still in existence. So that's how I was kind of trying to explain that to them. That's how you could exist in all those lines at the same time. And the you in that line could actually move into a separate line, but it's all still you. That was my fairy ring theory that I was
Well, that's
using.
a very good theory, actually, because
Yeah,
if you
that's a
think
very
about the
good
fact-
analogy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at trees and the root system. It's been proven that they communicate through their root systems, that they share nutrients through their root systems.
Yeah. So I also So also to go along with this, this also helps explain Mandela effect, right?
Right.
So if our consciousness moves into a different line that we do already exist in, we kind of wake up within that line. And Mandela effect happens because in the theory's synopsis, no two lines are completely identical. There's a few little things that are changed because we all make different decisions, even supposedly our own selves and all these other lines. So when you wake up into this new line, this consciousness moves into this new line of yours. Some things have to get rectified. There's a few little details, and sometimes we're not ready for that. We're still remembering that old line a little bit, so we get conflicts. So that's where you get Mandela that pops up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was a good one.
Interesting. That was a good one.
Yeah.
All right. So Pam, it's your turn, I think. For
Is it my turn? Let's see. Book 2, page 12.
I just think break is over. I've got to go back to work.
At 212.
12.
Now 2:10, but 2:12 by the time I get my fat ass up out of the chair.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Okay. So this is crop circles.
Oh, fun.
These are this page is on the crop circle burst across Missouri and Kansas that happened June 21st, 1990.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So 7 circles happened all in one night. In Osceola, Bate City, Oskaloosa, Topeka, and 3 just outside of Kansas City proper.
So those are relatively pretty spread out, too.
Yeah. So there was the Odessa Formation in Odessa, Missouri. This one was one of the growing formations that we've talked about before on shows. It was originally 50 feet across, and over the course of several days, it grew and mutated in shape until it was 125 feet across with a 75-foot rectangular pathway. And a second area shaped like a mushroom was then discovered in the same field nearby. The discoverer of the circle was a driver who felt a sudden urge to go out of their way and drive to the location. And that's how that one was found.
Wow.
Interestingly, so when we went to the museum in Ray County, we went right through those fields.
Odessa. We sure did.
Yeah. We were like, woo, spooky.
We're like, why does this sound familiar? Oh, that's right. This is the crop circle place.
Yeah.
So, other than the mushroom shape outline one, were they all just basic circles, all the other ones? Or just
So you can go online and see it. I can't remember exactly what it was shaped like. There was several different circles and things, and it literally did grow. I went on and what is the name of that website where all they do is study?
Is it crop circle?
Oh,
Something?
bltresearch.com.
Oh, no, I'm way off.
It's named
It
after
sounds
the
delicious.
3 founders. It does. It's named after the 3 founders, John Burke, W.C. Levengood, and Nancy Talbot. And they do like deep dive research on their pages, and they had all the information on it. So I think it was 2 of them actually, and another researcher. They had gone in the morning and had taken the measurements and photos and everything, and they left to go get lunch because Odessa's out in the middle of nowhere. So they left, went and got lunch, and then came back to finish up taking photos later in the day so they could get some good shots. And when they came back, it was bigger. So they were like, is somebody coming out here while we're gone? So they were like, well, we have photos from it before. Let's take new photos and new measurements. And while they were working, the other side of it continued to grow.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, they were
That
there.
is
They were like,
bizarre.
you didn't see it happening. But once they got over there, they were like, wait a minute, the measurements have changed again. And they would try to measure there. And while they were measuring there, another section was continuing to grow. So that one's one of the growers. It's like a grower and a shower. So also
This is
on
the
this
family-ish program.
it is. The Bates Formation was in Bates City, Missouri. This was the second growing formation. This one grew too. Originally 33 feet wide, found not far from the Odessa Formation on the same day. The circle also changed over a few days, adding on a 30-foot long rectangle. It was like a finger on the outside of the circle. And then the last one on this page is the Jenkins Formation out of Jenkins, Missouri. This was a morning formation. A woman and a grandson watched an object that was glistening, sitting stationary in their field until about 9 a.m. They watched the object take off very fast. When it moved, it became very bright and metallic. It rose about 50 feet where there was another large oval-shaped object. They both flew away together. They left a 4.5-foot circle behind that had spiraled. It had spiraled scorched grass inside. When investigated, they found 3 similar circles at measured points nearby. Smaller circles measured 8 inches, were swirled and scorched also.
Interesting.
That
Yeah.
is interesting.
Cool.
That is
Had a lot of crop circles here lately in the area. They seem to have kind of quieted down for just a little bit.
Yeah.
I think our last big group of them was in the early 2000s. So we may be due for another
we may
spat.
be due for another spat. Oh, if there is a new batch, we're gonna have to take off and go look at it.
You know what
Heck
I'm
yeah.
kind of curious about, and I
Investigate
think we've talked about this before, is you know how you can take like a bass, like a bass speaker, and you can put sand on it, and if you play it, it'll go into patterns.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I think we've talked about this before about we wonder if there's something within the earth that's basically causing these
Well,
things to go
and
into
some
patterns.
of these
Mhm.
resemble those patterns.
They do.
The harmonic patterns.
Yes.
Let me
Mhm.
see if I've got a picture of that.
So you know what would be interesting? We've been in a drought. So something to do with like under the earth water movement, or something along those lines. Maybe we'll start to see an uptick again now that we've got tons of water here within the last little bit of time.
I imagine the weird's going to get ramped up for your area already, just because
For
you got your
sure.
batteries charged. So
Well, you know how
Mhm.
the Caney Dam was dry as a bone forever. Man, it's overflowing right
It's
now.
flooded right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
They
is.
can't even see the dam.
No, you can't even see the dam. It's completely
Yeah.
under.
wow.
They've been posting videos and pictures of it. It's the first time I ever remember of everybody like celebrating the flooded out river.
Yay, we're flooded.
We're like,
Yes.
I can't find any of those pictures right off the bat on my computer, so they're probably on my old PC.
probably.
I mean, it's a thought, though. Who knows? It's
Well,
gonna
yeah, and
stop
that
it.
we need to do a show on that. I've been saying this for a long time. We
Harmonics?
need to,
I've always wanted to do a harmonic
Yeah.
show.
there's a lot of stuff. A lot of these images that you find in, I believe, the Indian temples can be
Yes.
recreated by using,
Yep.
but putting the iron filings on a speaker or speaker drum and just
Letting it jump.
letting it jump.
Yeah, you set it at different tones, and yeah.
You want
That's-
like YouTube videos or just pictures of that?
Photos, if you've got some. I can't even remember what they were called. There's something Graham. I don't believe it's
Graham.
It's cymatics.
That's it. There you
Thematic.
go.
Thematics.
That's the word.
Here's present, share screen.
Dum 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 dum. Ah, yep, that's it.
Yes.
Cymatics is the study of visible sound and vibration by sending sound waves through matter such as sand on a plate a plate with cornstarch and water mixture. Various geometric patterns emerge depending on the frequency and amplitude of the sound being played. Here are cymoglyphs for the frequencies of various notes on a piano. These are the specific
That is so
ones
cool.
here.
That's, I mean, they've found very similar patterns to these used as decorations on walls. So
Yes,
Yeah.
I have.
the ancients were aware of them. So
It's audio spin art.
audio spin art. Oh yeah.
The interesting thing is, if this hypothesis is true, that it is the Earth's vibrations making these crop circles, where are the balls of iron coming from? The glasswork on the stalks, and why are the stalks that have wildlife on them left alone?
Yeah, like wasn't there like a hummingbird's? Was that a hummingbird? It was a very small bird. I
Yeah.
don't remember what kind it was.
There was a
the nest was
nest.
left alone.
Yeah, I don't remember which one it was.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
It's intelligent plasma.
I
They're
mean,
plasma
it's
creatures trying to communicate.
living things have their own frequencies. Maybe it cancels it out.
Oh,
I don't know. It's
weird.
that's one of those
Somebody
things
needs
I've
to
never really
resurrect
done a deep
Nikola
dive.
Tesla, he could tell us.
Oh, I'm sure
You
he
need
could.
to.
I've never been a big like crop circle guy. It's just something that's never really crossed my radar. I would certainly want to go check one out. I've heard a lot of the stories. The bent over stalks not snapped.
yes.
A lot of that. It certainly does seems like there's some kind of magnetics going on or something to that
Weird
effect.
stuff,
The
yeah.
swirl patterns and things like that.
Mhm.
It's not as simple as whoever those two old geezers were in the UK with the board and the rope.
Doug
tromping
and Dave.
around. Doug and Dave.
Doug and
Doug and
Dave.
Dave,
Bless
that is
their
their name.
hearts.
I
one of
love,
them-
Are.
love how they were taking credit for it while one was being formed hundreds of miles
Yes.
away. That was classic.
I remember one of them did it so he could stay out of his wife's hair because she was sick of him.
Yeah. Then I love how their demo was just. when
Oh,
they
it
did
was pristine, let me tell you.
Oh,
it
yeah, when
was
they tried to do
horrible.
it before. Yeah.
They had the crazy hat with like the dangling fish line that they supposedly, that's how they made all their lines perfectly straight.
Yeah, that's not how that would work.
And oh, my favorite one, they did that interview with that investigator from the UK, and they asked him how they got out to make the circles without leaving footprints in the fields, and they said that they used a pole vault. And the one in particular that they were discussing was well, they said they walked out on the tram lines, the lines that the trucks use to move out onto the fields. They used the tram lines, and they would pole vault from them. But in this particular field that they were discussing, the closest tram line to the thing that had been made was 80 feet.
That would have been a world record.
These guys are
So you
pretty
would have had
spry.
to have had like a 90-foot pole to make the 80-foot.
And definitely not as soused as those two were 99% of the time.
And not as old as they were. I
Was
mean,
it
you'd need Olympic athletes. I mean,
Like a pogo stick pole vault thing where it had
Something,
strings on them.
I
Just,
don't know. It was hilarious.
There
hey,
you go.
yeah, we're in the race.
That's funny.
Basically.
Hey, there's Phil.
yep.
Yeah, I'll have to admit, something I never was. I just never thought about it, and it wasn't until I think last September, when you started talking about it, that the big Paracon, I think that I said, that's still happening in the U.S. I had no idea.
Oh, crop circles? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're just not talked about much.
No, not
The
at all.
media downplays it or doesn't, talk about it at all. So, and a lot of farmers and stuff just don't tell anybody because they don't want people tromping around in their crap,
Yeah.
And
They've
I
already
don't
had
blame
enough of
them.
their crop ruined. Why ruin the rest of it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember there was
Yeah.
one. It was an airplane was taking someone over Stonehenge, And when they flew one direction, they didn't see anything. And within 10 or 15 minutes, they were flying back across it again. And there was a fully formed crop circle, a very intricate one just below them, where they had just flown by within 10 or 15 minutes. And there was nothing.
Yeah, no time for that to.
It's just like it was an immediate, it was there kind of thing.
Yeah.
This sounds more and more like an interdimensional being just messing with people than it does.
Well, you know how people take the shoe things
I would totally do that
everywhere. Maybe it's some giant going through and just making crop circle prints just to mess with us.
There you go.
If there was at least like a saucer or something like that that's landing, you go, okay, maybe some weird field dynamic with whatever, powers it through whatever wacky anti-gravity drive or whatever it is that powers the things, creates this, magnetic turbulence that causes. I could sort of maybe see that with a bunch of tall grasses and stuff like that, but for it just to pop up like in seconds,
it's crazy.
That doesn't make any sense. It's like, what?
I want to say
this?
Astonishing Legends, they did at least a 2-part series on crop circles, and they brought in some recordings that were done inside of a crop circle, and it was very strange.
I've heard those recordings.
Wasn't it like I'm trying to remember the details here, a news station like the BBC or something?
Yeah, it was a news station on BBC.
Yeah, they had come in to record, and it was messing with their equipment, and the feedback that they got was very. It almost
demonic.
It almost sounded. It had a cadence to it,
like souls being tortured,
so
like people listening to my voice.
I have the Art Bell sounds from hell if we want to play that as an example.
I mean,
I found it. I found the Stonehenge one.
Oh, you did?
So
the
Stonehenge one was impressive because it's one of the only ones where it formed in front of a large amount of people. Mm-hmm. And we have an eyewitness account. So, that one was called the Julia set.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
It was huge. It's very famous. Yeah. At Stonehenge, July 7th, 1996. So the pilot was Busty Taylor, very famous now for all the crop circle stuff and everything. He had gone over 25 minutes earlier and had seen no pattern, and when he flew back over, he saw it. So the eyewitness account, it said, and I'm going to read it verbatim because it's really weird. There was a mist about 2.3 feet off the ground, and it was spinning around and around on the ground, and a circular shape was appearing, which seemed to get bigger and bigger as simultaneously the mist got bigger and bigger and swirled faster. The mist wasn't anything from the ground, as there was a clear space between the ground and the mist. There was no wind and no dust. It was the strangest thing I've ever seen. It was a calm summer's day. And they estimated that there was probably around 60 to 75 people at Stonehenge that day that stopped and watched this happen.
That is quite a few people.
You know what's interesting about that too?
Mark, I got a picture down there if you want to pull that up.
I think we talked about this before. When you have the mist.
And it was gorgeous. I mean, it's a gorgeous, if it was art, it would be gorgeous.
Yeah, it is kind of art now. It's one of the most famous ones, the Julia set is. And you can see this like on t-shirts and coffee mugs, and they use it for designs and all sorts of stuff now.
Yeah, I mean, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. It's also one of the few that's appeared during broad daylight, too. One that didn't just happen overnight in somebody's field.
Jenny Randles, she wrote the book Time Storms. And that's something that's very common when a time storm happens, is the mist coming in and settling over a place.
That's weird.
Makes me think of that too.
Yeah.
In this picture, there's actually someone standing out in the middle of one of the
there is, isn't there?
Yeah.
The areas to give you a sense of scale. This is how big.
Look at the semi in the background. Those are huge. They're as big as a semi.
Tanker truck. Yeah.
So, They are not small. Even the small ones are pretty good sized.
And you don't see a bunch of footprints everywhere, like the rest of the
No.
Well,
the
you
crop is
just
knocked down.
you pole vault from up here on the road to here. You can walk in.
There you go.
It's pole vaulting.
Yeah, walk back and forth along the circles until you can get where you're
It's
going.
easy.
Yeah, easy peasy. You can do that in 5-10 minutes.
Let alone
I have
size of the equipment you would need to make circles.
Or while people are watching me, well, I use my alien technology to blend in.
Do you guys remember talking about the largest crop circle ever measured? So I
remember.
have
I
the
don't remember
information
how
on
big
it.
it was.
So the largest one ever recorded, it happened in Wiltshire, England, August 13th, 2001. It had 409 circles in a spiral. It measured 450 meters, which is 447 yards for us, or 4.5 football fields.
Huge.
And I remember the very interesting thing about this case was it was in a very rural area of Wiltshire where there was only dirt roads, and the dirt roads were only 1 car width wide. So you couldn't have multiple cars out on these roads. The farmer walked away from the field in the evening when the sun went down, and he showed up right back up in the morning again. And in that time period, all of this had been created, and they did the math on it. And they figured that if people had made it themselves, they would have had to create 1 circle every 30 seconds to make the entire system of it in 1 night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
not
they
to
knew
mention-
that people hadn't come in and done it because the field was pristine and there wasn't any marks on the road from the hundreds of cars full of people it would have taken to have created this in time.
All right.
Interesting.
Well, not to mention 450 some yards, 470 yards. I don't know how many people on here are hunters or shooters, but that is a really large distance. And if you've been hunting for, say, deer or something, if you imagine that in your head, that's farther than most people can shoot a firearm. I mean, it's just, it's a huge amount. That's almost half a kilometer. So it's large.
Yeah. I also I always think it's interesting to note, like, a lot of people are like, well, the farmers are doing it themselves so they can make money. But I remember this particular one, this dude lost his entire crop to it that year. He lost everything.
Money.
You can lose your whole farm for something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's not something you're just going to go out and do for fun.
Yeah, his whole crop was destroyed that year. So, and it may have not come back well the next few years because crop circles are known for that, for just kind of destroying the area for the next, few years after that. Like, you can see ghost prints of where crop circles used to be for years afterwards. And also the opposite too. Sometimes the ground in that particular area becomes really plush and has a good growth just out of those parts. So you see where crop circles used to be, because the crops that are growing there are very lush as compared to the crops outside of the circle. So
kind of like a fairy ring where they grow. It's really lush. Yeah.
Yeah.
Phil says, for perspective, a person standing up is about 1/4 inch. So that's I am assuming that's like 400 yards. So that's
wild.
Yeah, that's pretty far off.
Crop circles. Apparently we need to do another show on crop circles with Enzo, so he can hear all about.
I mean, I'm game. I'm game.
Yeah, he can hear all about expulsion nodes and
yes,
and carbonation and
I was mostly shocked last year when you were talking about it. It's like, wait, here in the United States that's happening? I thought this was just a
Yeah.
UK thing.
No.
No,
Yep, it's
it
all
happens
over.
all over.
Mhm.
Actually,
The snow circles.
Russia has so many of them, and Russia's underneath ice and snow for a good portion of the time, so they get ice and snow
Yeah, they
circles.
get circles.
Snow
Yeah.
rings.
There's
Yeah.
sand circles out.
Yeah.
Was it in Oregon? Is that where they were? There was one that popped
Mhm.
up in a cave,
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember
Inside a
that.
cave?
inside of a cave.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No explanation. Yeah, we need to do this as a Phil says yes, that's the distance. It'll be a 1/4 inch high at 400 or 500 yards. So that's what you would see
Yeah.
from that distance.
There
So
was
something-
the Sri Lanka
Oh,
where was that at? Oregon. It was dug down into the hard pack like an inch
yes.
oh
deep or
yeah.
something like
I know
that.
what you're talking about, but I don't remember.
And the ground was so crumbly they would have left footprints, and there was no footprints.
Yeah.
Trying
Yeah,
to
I remember that. So yeah, we should revisit that. That's fascinating to me subject. I'm wondering if we could find an expert to call in on that.
On crop circles
Yeah,
in
I
the
bet we can
US.
find one.
I have to think about that one.
I bet
I'm sure we
bet
can
know.
find one.
I bet we can.
Just have to put some
Yeah,
brain power
Eastern
in it.
Oregon.
Is that where it was?
Yeah, it was that Hindu design, and it spanned
Yes.
a 1/4 mile. And the same thing with that one. It could only be seen by a flight. It was a flight school, and they took someone out, and it wasn't there. And when they came back, it was there. And the place isn't lived in because it was just barren, hardtop soil. Nothing grew on it, and they just used it as a range where they flew out over, I guess. And it just popped up.
Yeah, Phil says Pam, the non-expert expert.
Yeah. Anywho, do we want to do a
I know
different?
just enough to be dangerous. Usually,
We can do one more.
Have Phil pick one.
Phil, pick
Yeah.
one. Pick a notebook.
1 through 5, 65 or under.
While she's doing that, I got a picture of that thing in Oregon you were just talking about.
Yep.
Yes, that's it.
There you go.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, it has all sorts of nutty
Isn't that
information with it.
wild?
This is photographed from 9,000 feet to get the whole thing in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's huge.
Wow.
And look how perfect it is. I mean, it's not.
Yeah. Now,
Yep.
interesting to
Messed up
note
at all.
about this formation. So apparently that area right now, it's been barren for as long as anybody can remember. But that area now is lush, and it has growth in it. It has plants and animals in it that are not native to the area.
That's
Huh,
interesting.
that is weird.
Yeah, it's like this weird oasis that's popped up in the middle of nowhere. Let's see here. Book 5, page 13.
Thanks, Phil.
We miss you, Phil.
Yeah, soccer
Yeah.
needs to be over soon. I know it's good for you and the kiddos, but we're missing you, man. We really are. Only a couple more weeks, and Phil will be back with us. Soccer season will be done. Phil is a fantastic dad and a fantastic coach. So I do not begrudge the kids his time, even though I miss him terribly. Because he gets me. And
gets
I
you?
don't know whether that's good or bad for him, but he does get me.
Hold on, let me get some of this crap out of my way. Okay. All right. Okay. So, okay. We got missing 411. David Paulides, as everybody knows. So, this is a list of the unique factors common in most disappearances.
Ooh, that's a good
This
one.
is kind of odd that this has popped up. If I remember right, wasn't Robert Prevost just online a couple weeks ago asking for this list? And I knew I had it somewhere. I just didn't know where it was.
Actually, he was. So that's,
Cool.
yeah, there we
Ooh,
go.
I
Robert,
hope
here you
Robert's
go.
watching. Okay. So the list of common factors that pop up in the bulk of the missing 411 cases, as David Paulides thinks. This is his list. So we've got rural settings, usually no witnesses, significant cover, difficult terrain. Dogs. Dogs play a major role in many disappearances. Missing children often follow their dogs. This is an 81%. This next one. Dogs and bloodhounds cannot track scents or lose scents suddenly on their path. Disabled and impaired children, the numbers are really high on that one too. Unexplainable fevers with the children when they're found. Often found conscious or semi-conscious when they are found. People being found dry or in really great shape after heavy rains, like they should have been out in the weather, but they show up completely dry. Disappearances most often happen between 2 to 5 p.m. Swamps and briar patches are found in most of the stories. And
Berries
that's
are
where, yeah, that's where like 90% of children are found, is in a swampy area or briar patches. Berry patches play a huge role in a lot of them. Clothing is a huge factor. Significant pieces of clothing are found missing or found in lieu of the person or child. Like, what is this? 65% are found, that ones that are found in previously searched places. And disappearances most often happen in clusters. So there's cluster areas where these disappearances are happening at.
Wasn't there
Yeah.
something with like the clothing, like weird pieces of clothing will be turned inside out? Or
Yeah, that's all under
not
the
incorrectly
clothing.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like folded up with them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfectly
Yeah.
folded.
I remember.
Which is,
Mhm.
I mean, that's kind of a throwback to the Fae, you know.
Yeah.
where-
The interesting one on that, like a lot of people are like, well, yeah, you know, when you're going through hypothermia, you'll do weird things and like take off your clothes and stuff. But these are found most often with the children.
Mhm.
Who
Like
survived?
an infant, or like, well, not an infant, but like a toddler will walk away and they'll find the toddler like completely naked, but with one shoe on.
Mhm.
But their clothes will be folded so neatly and stacked, you know, like right beside them, as if an adult had come along, stripped them down, and then sat there and meticulously folded each piece and
Like a
then
toddler
laid
would
them.
not have been able to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And like sometimes they'll find them in the middle of a briar patch and they're not scratched up and their clothing isn't
Mhm.
torn, but they're in the
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
middle of a briar patch that you can't get to them without tearing yourself up.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't get into it, but they somehow did.
Or they'll be beyond. I know there was one child they found like 400 feet up from where it was outside of the area they were looking for him, and he was on the other side of a huge boulder patch.
Mhm.
Or the one little child who managed to walk 15 miles in
Yeah.
just a few hours,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I think that's the one Bear Gillis tried to
Yeah.
recreate, and he couldn't do it. He was,
Didn't they also find him on top of like a mountain that was like nearly impossible for like
That's the one that they found
a
on the other side
trained
of the boulder patch. Yeah.
a trained person to climb?
Yep.
And he was up there with like no shoes.
Yeah. He had just a diaper on or something
Yeah.
strange.
And,
That-
and
Yeah,
wasn't
and
scratched up or anything
his
like
clothes
that.
were
Yeah.
completely intact when they found them. Wasn't that the one who right now? I don't think he's alive anymore, but he was an old man when I saw him interviewed. He was he didn't remember any of it, but his mom had saved his clothing, and they
Oh,
still had it.
yeah. That's in one of the missing 411 movies.
I believe
Mhm.
I believe it was some striped shirt and little kid overalls or something
Yeah,
like
something
that.
like that. Yeah.
Mm.
Interesting stuff.
Gotten through barbed wire fence and was like 10, 15 miles. I don't remember how far. It was some ridiculous amount for a 2-year-old to travel.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Something else weird going on with all of that.
There is, yeah.
And no harm. I mean, absolutely.
One of the
no
most
harm.
interesting ones that I found, going back to the, like, people found in previously searched areas, there's one, and it didn't happen all that long ago. I think it was like the early 2000s. This dude, I think out of Missouri, went missing near Yellowstone somewhere. I want to say I'm probably wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. But he was on a major hiking trail that is well used, and he went missing, and he was gone for like 3 weeks. They were hunting for him, and they actually gave up hope of finding him. And a hiker showed up one morning, was like the first one on the trail that morning, and walked 10 feet in on the trail, and there he was, dead, laying across the trail. It looked like he'd been dead for 3 weeks, like he'd dropped right there and died. Still had his leash for his dog, but the dog was gone. And the crazy thing is that
Hundreds
the
of searchers.
footprints from the searchers and other hikers and stuff like that from the previous weeks went right underneath of him. But he had apparently, it looked like he had died like right there. So they don't know how. Like, he expelled his juices there when he originally died, like 3 weeks prior. Like, it showed that he had been dead for a while. He had expelled right there into the footprints of the people that literally had been there the day before.
That's the interesting thing about the national parks, especially. There's so much weird crap that happens in them. And that's another good thing that you can bring up with that too, is the fact that national parks don't keep records of the missing, the 411 cases. If they do, they don't share it
They don't share
at
it.
all.
Yeah, they want like $1 million to compile the data for you or something.
Yeah,
That's
we'll do it, but you're going to pay us $500 an hour, and it's going to take a minimum of 4 weeks, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's some ridiculous amount. Well, I mean, guys, this has been a pretty good episode.
yeah.
It's a fun one. Can't go wrong with the notebooks. Notebook
Notebooks.
roulette. I like that.
Always great.
Yes.
We should do it once in a while, just for fun. I mean, there's so much serious stuff going on in the world, and a lot of the stuff we talk about is serious and has serious connotations. But we're able to approach it in a fun manner, and I enjoy it immensely. I hope
it's a
we
good
do it
time.
again soon.
It was a lot of fun.
For
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Before we get off
the
here,
notebook, I was going to say, if you like the Notebook game, go over to Bordertown Strange, because we play it at the end of every cast. And we can thank Enzo for that. This is Enzo's fault. He started this.
good night, Phil.
Good night, Phil.
And before we get off here, I do want to touch base. Our very own Jessica Holman is going to be having an art show starting the 5th, is it?
4th.
The 4th.
In Bartlesville, Oklahoma, at the world famous tower.
Price
Tower.
Price Tower.
Built by Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yeah. So if you are in the area, please stop by and give her some love, because she is a fantastic artist.
Aww.
And I am very proud to call her my friend.
Aww.
No, my sister. Because
I love you too.
the last 12 years since I have gotten to know these two has been just fantastic. People who get my weird, they're
we're just as weird as you
money
are.
can't buy that. I just it's just amazing. So I have every intention to be out there and give you some support. And I don't
have the link to the show.
I will post it on our page.
Okay.
I'll post it on
the opening is at 5. It starts at 5:30. I do know that.
Yeah. 5:30 to 7. is my opening, but it will be there to see all the way through summer. So I'm the resident artist for the summer, so you can go in and see it in the gallery clear through the end of July, I believe. So if you can't make it, then stop in sometime and take a look, and I hope it's worth it.
Her artwork is incredible.
I hope you guys aren't like
She is absolutely. I love it. I've got a few small pieces.
Yep.
Packed away in the Christmas box, I believe, because they were all
I have a
ornaments.
couple of pieces in that black cabinet back there, actually.
Yeah.
We love it. We hope you guys love it. Give her some love. With that, I
Thank you.
think it has been a great show.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Next, not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, catch Bordertown Strange, because all 4 of us are going to be on there, and we're going to be talking about UFOs across Kansas and the 37th parallel. So that should be
yes, we will.
That'll
And
be a
that
good
is going to be a fun show.
For sure.
Yep. So
Yay.
I'll see you next week.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.